Now, donating an organ can give someone another chance at a better life. However, would you expect gender inequality when it comes to organ donation? Transplant Education for Living Legacies is an NPO that raises awareness on organ and tissue donation and some of the inequalities taking place in the environment. As we kick off Women's Month, I'm joined by Managing Director of the NPO, Alice Vogt. Alice, very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Inequality when it comes to organ donations. Please explain a bit further.
Yes, so as you might assume, women are more likely to be living donors. So for certain organs like livers and kidneys, you can donate an organ while you are alive. And as you can assume, women are more likely to donate a part of their organ to spouses or children. And then also, especially for the waiting list, when it comes to kidney transplants, it's been found that women have less access to dialysis. So the chances of women getting to the point of receiving a transplant are less than of men, as well as even getting onto the waiting list for an organ is apparently harder for women than for men. Another problem is that with certain organs, size is an issue. So you need a donor who is your specific size, and women are obviously quite a bit smaller than men are. However, men are more likely to be organ donors in realistic expectations because it sounds politically incorrect, but they've got more risky behaviors. So a lot of organ donors end up being young males whose organs then wouldn't, be appropriate for a smaller female. So it just seems that women do get the short end of the stick when it comes to organ donation, but not necessarily by something that's being done on purpose. It just happens to unfortunately be that way.
Okay. Now, in South Africa, the donor's family has the final say in whether or not organs are permitted to be donated. So the family has the final say. Is that an impediment?
Yes, it is. A lot of family, they firstly, if the victim or the person who's passed away, if they did not talk to their family about their wishes to be an organ donor one day, then the family might not know it, be uncertain, and just say no, just to be safe because they don't want to upset anyone. You also get cases where, for example, in a family, the mother would say yes to organ donation because, as we know, women are more likely to donate themselves and to say yes to organ donation. However, the male heads in the family might say no and then prevent the organ donation from happening because they do need the entire family to agree on it before any medical professionals would take organs from a donor.
Now, you say one of the biggest problems we face in South Africa when it comes to organ donations is identifying and referring potential donors. Explain that to me.
Yes. So in a lot of hospitals, beds are an issue, and I'm not talking about during COVID at the moment, but in normal circumstances, ICU beds are in quite a big demand, especially in the state hospitals. So when someone has been declared brain dead, it is a lot easier to send them to the morgue than to do the admin of trying to get their organs donated. So that is a problem. And then also staff often don't know all the correct procedures for referring a donor for organ donation. So it's the road less traveled. So if you've got a patient who's brain dead, it's a lot easier not to refer them for organ donation than to do so.
Okay. Now, lastly, August is National Organ Donation Awareness Month. What are you doing as TEL?
So most of us and our volunteers, me included, have had organ transplants or we're on the waiting list for organ transplants. So at the moment with the pandemic, it's very dangerous for us to actually go outside into the public, let alone into hospitals to do our normal awareness. But we have lined up a lot of media interviews, for example, this one, which is the first, So we'll be doing that, and yes, just trying through social media, which is the way that everyone seems to be raising awareness for anything these days.
Yeah, and I suppose from a cultural perspective, it's one of those things, isn't it? From African culture, donating your organs after you die. That's one of the things in terms of awareness that you have to get through to men of my age. That listen, you know what, you can actually do it.
Yes, yes, and it's changing a lot. It has, because I received my first transplant 13 years ago, and I've already seen how much that has changed in the last 13 years. People assume that all donors are white people, but they're actually not. Statistically, most donors are actually colored people, and all of that is changing, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of work, but it is changing.
All right, thank you so much, Alice Vogt there. She's from Transplant Education for Living Legacies.